welcome to the Scary Eyes channel. Today we dive deep into 9 terrifying, will send shivers down your spine. These just any tales, they're filled with suspense, mystery, and the unknown. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, the sense of dread creeping in? You're not alone. These stories might be fictional, but the fear they evoke is very real. Grab your blanket, turn off the lights, and let's begin. Disclaimer: before we delve into a horror script, please note that I cannot provide content that promotes violence, harm, or illegal activities. Horror stories should be crafted with respect for sensitive topics and should not glorify harmful behaviors. These genres can be terrifying without resorting to gratuitous violence. So any heart patients, children, and who are fear of ghosts are kindly requested to skip this video. Number 1. Ronnie's Friend. One day, Ronnie was browsing on the internet. He read a story about a certain suspension bridge close to his home. The website had plenty of pictures of the bridge and the surrounding area. The next time he met my uncle, he told him about the bridge. It was an old suspension bridge that crossed over a deep gorge. For some unknown reason, it was known as a spot that was notorious for suicide. Every year, at least 5 or 10 people would throw themselves off the bridge and die. Nobody could explain why. They said that the spot was haunted by the ghosts of all the people who had committed suicide then. When my uncle went home that evening, he decided to check out the bridge. He desperately wanted to see a ghost. So that very night, he set out for the mountains where the bridge was. It took him about half an hour to get there. It was almost midnight when he arrived at the bridge, and there was not a single person around. It was dark and deathly quiet. The atmosphere was so spooky and ominous that it sent a chill down his spine. People just fool others about this place, he muttered to himself as he cautiously walked to the edge of the gorge and peered down into its depth. He began thinking about all of the people who had thrown themselves down into the inky blackness. It was so fascinating that he felt forced to tell his friend, Ronnie, about it. So he pulled out his cell phone to call him. However, since he was high up in the mountains, couldn't get any reception. Looking around, my uncle noticed a phone booth standing nearby. He went inside, put some coins in the slot, and dialed Ronnie's number. "Hello, Ronnie? Guess who's speaking?" he said. "I'm at the same bridge that you told me earlier. Why don't you join me tonight? So pleasant and quiet." "Why not?" replied Ronnie. "I have seen that place on Google. Wait there, I am coming. By the way, where are you calling from?" My uncle laughed. "Oh, my phone is out of range, so I'm calling from a payphone." His friend was confused. "Payphone? There is no payphone there. If there was any, I would have seen it in photos. There was no phone booth and no line of people waiting to use the phone. He had moved an inch, he would have fallen off the edge and died." Number 2. Ghost Under You. A distant cousin of mine who was putting up in London woke up to something mildly strange one morning. Staying alone in a single-bedroom apartment with no flatmates, it was weird to find a saucepan with ketchup along its edges lying in the kitchen sink. Anyway, he looked past it. Must have been 36 hours barely when he found, after returning home from work, that the bathroom floor was wet. Again, assuming some pipe leakage, he overlooked this too. The very next day, he woke up to find his wardrobe messed up, with shirts crumbled up and denim lying in an unorderly fashion. This is where he got concerned. However, already late for work, he muted this thought and thought of looking into it once back. That same night, at about 1 a.m. in the morning, he was lying on his bed working with his laptop resting on his thighs. He heard a loud thud noise as a stark-naked bald man rushed out from under his bed and ran towards the living room. Frozen with fear and trauma, it took him a minute to muster his strength and climb out of the apartment window. Ops came rushing, barged in, and arrested the fellow. Here's what it revealed. A psycho who had fled away from a local asylum had been living under his bed for 25 days. Not spooky? Let's see how many of you sleep tonight without looking under their beds. Number 3. White with Red. A man went to a hotel and walked up to the front desk to check in. The woman at the desk gave him his key, and told him that on the way to his room, there was a door with no number that was locked, and no one was allowed in there. She explained that it was a storeroom and that it was out of bounds. She reminded him of this several times before allowing him upstairs. So, he followed the instructions of the woman at the front desk, going straight to his room and going to bed. However, the insistence of the woman had piqued his curiosity, so the next night he walked down the hall to the door and tried the handle. Sure enough, it was locked. He bent down and looked through the wide keyhole. Cold air passed through it, chilling his eye. What he saw was a hotel bedroom, like his, and in the corner was a woman whose skin was incredibly pale. She was leaning her head against the wall, facing away from the door. He stared in confusion for a while. Was this a celebrity? The owner's daughter? He almost knocked on the door, out of curiosity, but decided not to. As he was still looking, the woman turned sharply and he jumped back from the door, hoping she would not suspect he had been spying on her. He crept away from the door and walked back to his room. The next day, he returned to the door and looked through the wide keyhole. This time, all he saw was redness. He couldn't make anything out besides a distinct red color, unmoving. Perhaps the inhabitants of the room knew he was spying the night before, and had blocked the keyhole with something red. He felt embarrassed that he had made the woman so uncomfortable, and hoped she had not made a complaint with the woman on the front desk. At this point, he decided to consult her for more information. After some gentle quizzing and the promise that the explanation would go no further than him, she finally said, "Well, I might as well tell you the story of what happened in that room. A long time ago, a man murdered his wife there, and we find that even now, people get uncomfortable staying there. But these people were not ordinary. They were white all over, except for their red eyes." Number 4. The girl. So, this friend, a girl, was traveling from Mumbai local train to her station late at night by about midnight. While she was sitting in that compartment, only one more person was there in a corner. 3 more ladies in burqa were sitting a little further from her. So another person went near her and sat beside her. Calmly, yet cautiously, he said to her, "Please get off with me at the next station. Don't ask anything." This girl got scared as it already was midnight. How can she get off with a stranger guy believing whatever he was trying to say? So she didn't listen. Then came the station where she didn't get off. So even the person waited. Again, he pleaded with her to get off on the next station, this time more insisting. She didn't listen, so he said, "Fuck off." And he went near the train door to get off. Then this girl instinctively followed him and got off 2 stations before her station. As soon as they got off, the guy started running, and this made the girl more furious. She asked why he was running, and he said, "I'll tell you everything, you just run now." And then, as he felt safe distance, he told her, "Do you remember there were 3 ladies in burqa on the train? Did you notice that the middle lady was sleepy? She wasn't sleepy, she was dead. I saw blood dripping from her hand, and she wasn't even a lady. Those 3 people were males. Other 2 were the killers, who must have wanted to drop the body in the river that was between the next 2 stations. If you had stayed, you would have been the only witness to that murder, and they would have killed you." That it's for today, guys. Don't forget to leave the name of the story which seems to be scarier, and don't forget to support us. See you in the next video.